Duncan won't dance with me.
Duncan sucks. That's why. I'm going to turn
He
away
just
now.
wants to open a beer. That's all he wants to do. He's like,
That's right. That's right.
great, you got beer in me. I'm so glad you did that. And the microphone.
Wait.
See it dropping?
There we go.
Dropped. Okay, good. We can take that out. Hey, you guys, it is the Brother Sisters. We're live. It's Sunday afternoon. Sunday afternoon, not Sunday evening. Yes, we're early because we have super special guests today. You're watching Smart Dumb Fun with the Brother Sisters. I'm Janice Brothers, otherwise known as Jenny Brothers, and with me as always
is Ann Brothers.
I know. You can hear the echo because we're in the same house, but not in the same room.
Is your door closed?
No, I didn't close it. So
here, go close the door.
He's gonna go close the door so that we can hear each other less. All right, I'm gonna turn this music off.
Duncan wouldn't dance with me. I thought that was rude.
I know. We've never listened to the song this deep into it before.
Yeah, it just keeps getting better and better.
I know. I'm like, why don't we listen to this more often? Anyway, okay, I'm going to shut this off. Here it is. Off. Hey, look, we already have commentary. Jeannie Caselli's with us. Hey.
Jeannie Caselli is going to be our guest next week. Jeannie Caselli, who is our, she's going to be our crack, true crime podcast reporter.
She's our murder podcast expert. So,
yes.
Somebody's got to be.
Somebody's got to be. So, hey, Jeannie. And her
Jeannie,
daughter today, it's her daughter's birthday. Her daughter's 26 today. Yeah. She was in utero at our wedding. Her daughter, not Jeannie.
Okay, that was confusing for a minute. Right on. Hey, Maggie Caselli, happy birthday to you, 26 years old. That makes me feel old because I remember when you were born.
Yeah.
Isn't that the thing that old people say? Hey, remember when so-and-so was born? I remember when you were just a fetus, I
remember when you were an ultrasound. Yay. I have your first picture. It's real fuzzy.
I couldn't even tell if you were a girl or a boy. Yay. Sorry, we're off topic. Anyway, we are here today with super special guest, Duncan Williams, who is with Ann right now. And with me, next to me is my husband, Joseph Albert Peters, who is not just a regional manager of the Brother Sister Smart Dumb Fun. He's a beer tasting expert. So
excellent. So it's a crowded place today.
It is a crowded house, crowded place. We're going to have a show and then we're going to go out to dinner. So
Yay.
That's right.
We just don't know.
So I'm going to wait. Don't leave, Duncan. You're the special guest. Jerk.
I know.
Are you married to him?
I have to put up with all the time, men. Really?
Am I right?
Am I right?
All right. Sorry, we're dorking out right now. So anyway, let's get right to it. I'm going to go ahead and share our super special screen. Share screen. I know I'm not doing my job very well today. Sorry, you guys.
Nobody else.
I'm off my game today. So what can I say? All right. So here we are. We are talking to Duncan Williams, beer expert, which is, I think it's very exciting. Let's go ahead and get to our stuff, though. As always, we're our synopsis. We are Ann and Janice Brothers. We are the Brother Sisters. We are actually sisters whose last name happens to be Brothers. That was crushing my students today. They could not get their brains around that I have a sister and her last name is also Brothers, but we're not brothers, we're sisters. Yeah, that didn't go well for some of my 8th graders. So sorry, you guys.
Well, a lot of their energy is going right now to grow, genitalia and sweat glands. So they don't have a lot of leftover for, deep thought. It's not their fault.
And that was on full display during Valentine's Day this week. Honestly, yeah, there's just nothing like Valentine's Day. At a middle school, it really is one of the best things in life. So if you've not experienced that, don't.
Don't, exactly. Oh, yay, a whole building full of dumb, horny people.
Yes. And why don't you take number 3 for us?
Okay, we're in our 50s. That means that Bugs Bunny was our first drag queen.
And no disrespect to all those other drag queens out there. Bugs Bunny still is my favorite drag queen.
He's my favorite drag queen too. And he was our first. That's how we knew that you could dress up and be beautiful no matter what.
Even if you're a boy, it's okay.
Oddly attractive.
So attractive. I know.
To keep a hunter from killing you. But
every time.
We're not cool or hip or sexy. We know this because we can't resist stopping at historical markers on road trips and reading about the events or the people that happened there, like in 1861. So
Exactly. Yeah, it's like, oh,
that's not
and
our
we got
fault
that
though.
from our grandmother brothers, Avis brothers.
Mhm. Yes.
She would stop at all historical markers, take a picture, and you in front of the historical marker, read the historical marker. No historical marker was safe from my grandma
No.
brothers.
Nope. It did not, big or small, relevant or irrelevant. Yeah, and she would look for the signs ahead of time so that we would know that there would be one coming up. Yeah, that's pretty much always the way it went. Yeah. Ann, why don't you go ahead and talk about number 5?
We talk about smart stuff, dumb stuff, fun stuff, or any combination of the three. So we have a lot to talk about because there's a lot of smart, fun, or dumb stuff that happens in the world.
Yeah, we don't like to limit ourselves to just
We do
one.
not.
That doesn't work. So as a result of that, you guys, we are not a murder, celebrity, or influencer podcast, but sometimes it happens inadvertently. So,
Mhm. Yeah.
because some of that stuff gets talked about, as it will next week, it will get talked about. So
It will. It will. We've been told that we're good to listen to while you're at the gym. I like to call the gym the suck. So if you're there on a treadmill and you need something to distract you, our podcast is the place to turn.
yes, and the treadmill is also known as the suck mill. So there you go.
Yeah.
You can find us on our new website or Spotify or the YouTube or Facebook or Instagram. Our podcast is not rated PG or PG-13. We're not explicit or gross, but we do say things like butt and fuck and shit sometimes. So if you have wee ones, earmuffs. Okay, good.
Earmuffs.
Wait, I blew that already, didn't I? Because I said shit without telling anybody I was going to say it.
Exactly.
My bad.
Earmuffs
Sorry.
first, then the swears.
There you go. Sorry. Feel free to join us on Spotify, like us, follow us, hit the little follow button. We're probably going to start kind of doing more work on YouTube, just to warn you ahead of time. Facebook's kind of jerking us around a little bit right now.
Mhm.
So it's likely that we might jump the Facebook ship and move entirely to YouTube, the Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and the I Love Radio podcast as well.
Jenny, that is very hip of us to dump Facebook because Facebook is jerking us around.
I know. There's apparently some other ones that the kids are looking at now, but I don't know what they are. So
I don't know. Yeah,
I haven't
well,
asked.
You'll have to
But-
listen, keep an ear to the ground, Jenny, at your middle school, so you can find out what all the hip young kids are listening to.
Well, TikTok is still the big thing with the kids, and the thing they do now is what's called ship or dip, which is they comment on each other's relationship on whether you should ship somebody or dip into that or ship that off or dip. I don't remember what it was,
Oh.
but it's basically kids just being mean to each other.
Oh,
Again.
hey, awesome.
Yeah, imagine that.
You mean we don't need a slam book for that anymore? Now we can do it on
Nope.
the interface?
The internet-
Just do it on
internet's for it.
TikTok, and then the
Mhm.
other one is Roblox, which is like I don't know. It's a gaming site where kids get on and say mean things to each other. I guess
I thought it was to build things. Now it's
it
not
is,
anymore.
but it's that to build things, to play games, and to torch each other. Apparently, one of my students was getting roasted by a 6-year-old this week, and apparently he did not take it well.
Ouch. Ow.
Yikes.
Yeah,
That's rude.
apparently
That's
those
just
6-year-olds
rude.
are brutal. Yeah,
Thanks.
so
Yeah.
that's what you get for messing with 6-year-olds. I don't know. All right, so let's talk about our smart, dumb, and fun stuff that happened this week, and we're going to start with you. Do it.
Okay, mine was a smart fun stuff this week. On Valentine's Day, Wednesday, I met with my friend Amy Terry, and then she brought her cousin Cheyenne, and it was the first time I met Cheyenne. She's a super cool woman, and we did the Detroit History Club Valentine's Beano, and Beano was the original name for bingo. So we played several rounds of bingo at the Detroit History Club, and they couple it with Detroit history facts and drinking and fabulous prizes. I did not win any fabulous prizes, but Cheyenne did. She won one of the rounds of bingo. So I was both thrilled and jealous for her because she gets a tote bag. Oh man, a tote bag full of like journals and stickers and magnets and more stickers. And
Because my wife just hates that shit.
I love that
cannot
shit.
stand
Plus,
that
I
shit.
love winning, and I would be a super obnoxious winner if I could ever win. Oh, hey, Jenny and I were talking about this. Jenny, the last time I won at bingo, I was 5 years old. We still lived in Pennsylvania, and I won a block of red clay.
Oh,
Nice. It was super awesome. Mom made us spread newspaper all around the dining room floor so we could play with it, but not get any Play-Doh in the carpet. It was amazing.
Yep.
So that was the last time I won bingo. I was 5. I'm going to be 55 this year, so I'm due. I
You're
am
due.
due.
I haven't won bingo since I was 10 at the Twin Mills Camping Resort Camping in Howe, Indiana. And they had afternoon bingo and I won $7 forking dollars. It was so great. And you and I spent that entire $7 at the Twin Mills Camp store, and we got pop and we got chocolate, we got candy. And it was amazing. Yeah, that was the last time.
$7, $19.80. So
yes, yes. You can do some damage with $19.80, even if it is at a camp store at a resort quote unquote camping facility in Howe, Indiana, which was 4 miles from our home. So
yeah, exactly. Which is funny. It was like resort camping, jumbo shrimp, military intelligence.
Yep.
The last time I won bingo was at the Detroit History Club last year.
Playing Beano.
Man.
Yeah.
Just had to bring that up, didn't you?
You just had to, didn't you?
Just son of a bitch.
Thanks, Joe. That was amazing.
Yeah, exactly.
Memory
Talking about
serves,
bringing
I
the room down.
shared my booty with all y'all.
I think
Yeah,
Ann
Well,
demanded
you do that all the time.
pretty sure Ann demanded that you share the booty. I'm pretty sure.
I was like, you can share it with me or I can take it from you. If you share it, you get to keep more of it. If I take it from you, you get none of it.
How very Russian of you.
Yeah,
Exactly. You're welcome.
Okay, so Ann played Beano at the Detroit History Club, and we are super jazzed to say that we will have Detroit History Club on our podcast sometime in March, probably the 27th. Just, little birdie told me something like that. All right. So anyway,
super thrilled because secretly I want Bailey to become my friend. I was like, can Bailey become my friend? How do I get Bailey to become my friend?
You ask.
I was going to say,
show up at all her events and kind of stalk her a little bit. Is that weird?
I was going to say, does that sound stalkery? And I'm not a stalker. I just really want your attention.
You just have this thing and it's really neat. You know what it is, Ann? Yeah, you just really love that and you want to work there. So
exactly, I do. Oh, look, Jenny's cool thing.
I know. My cool thing is that my husband is smart and he rocks. Check out the mug that my husband got me. Technically, it was it's my birthday present, Christmas present, and 21st anniversary of it's our date anniversary. It's the 12th was our anniversary of our very first date, and so Joe got me this amazing mug. It was handmade for me from the Stone Crow Ceramics out of Rhode Island. It's a women-owned business. You can find them on Facebook. I'm going to talk about them a little bit at the end. But as my husband knows, my favorite book ever is The Hobbit. I've read The Hobbit like 86 times. And Bilbo is, of course, my favorite. Well, he is my favorite character along with Beorn, who's the shape-shifting bear character, who also is just amazing. And that's my favorite little portion of the book. And so my mug has Gandalf and it has Bilbo and it has Beorn, it has human form and in bear form. And it has all of Beorn's bees, which is the best part about Beorn is that he keeps bees and he doesn't eat meat and he just lives on basically bread and honey and cheese and all the good stuff. And I'm like, that's my kind of dude right there. So yeah.
Oh, Jenny, I think your kind of dude is the kind of dude that buys you that awesome mug.
I know, right? This big bear right here.
Yeah. I've seen it live and that mug is bitchin'.
It's very cool.
Completely bitchin'. It's amazing. And then the cool part too is that the handle has a piece of granite that's now this is the part that we don't know about yet, but it's glued with a fluorescent glue so that when you put the light on it, it will glow. Oh, I know.
That is so, oh my God, so bitchin'.
I want to take that into the bathroom, look at it right now.
I want to take it behind the middle school and get it pregnant.
You just made my mug dirty. Why would you do that to my mug?
Because it's awesome.
That's what my wife does.
That's what I do, Jenny. I make things dirty.
She makes things dirty.
And that's the part where we were talking about why we're not PG-13. Right there.
Right there. Right there. So.
All right. It's time. We have fooled around long enough, and it's time to beer me with Duncan Williams. Let's talk about who this dude is. This is Duncan Williams. He is the head brewer at the Grizzly Peak Brewing Company in Ann Arbor, Michigan. I'm going to talk a little bit about the Grizzly Peak. It opened in August of 1995 in Ann Arbor, Michigan. It has the second oldest brewpub license in the state of Michigan, and it serves award-winning craft beer and delicious food. The food there is really good. So if you're not a beer person, that's fine. You don't have to drink the beer, but you can eat the delicious food. But I'm going to tell you right now, you're going to want to drink the beer of this man, the Duncan Williams. Ann, would you like to talk about your husband?
Sure, I would love to talk about my husband. This is Duncan. He's right here by my side. He completed the short course in brewing at the Siebel Institute in Chicago in 2001. And then he started as the assistant brewer at Grizzly Peak also in 2001. So he went in the winter of 2001 to Siebel, and then he started at Grizzly in the fall of 2001. And then he became the head brewer at Grizzly Peak at the very beginning of 2004. So now it's 2024. So Duncan is looking at, he's already reached his 20-year anniversary of being the head brewer at Grizzly Peak. So he's got tons of brewing experience. Sometimes he doesn't like it when people call him a master brewer, but I was like, after 20 years, I think you've mastered it.
It takes 10,000 hours to master something, Duncan, and I think 20 years is enough time. I think that's about the same or equal to or greater than 10,000 hours. So
yeah,
Sure.
good answer. All right. So now you know about Grizzly Peak Brewing Company. You can find it. Is it Washington Street? It's on the corner of Washington
West
and
Washington
Ashley, correct?
in Ashley. Yeah, correct.
Okay, Washington and Ashley.
Right off Main Street.
Right off of Main Street. There's nothing else good downtown except Grizzly Peak, so just go there. Okay, good.
Exactly.
There's no reason for you to visit anything except Grizzly Peak in Ann Arbor. I said so. All right. Duncan, please tell us 3 things we should know and understand about you, Duncan Williams, the brewer. Go.
I'm really good at tooting my own horn. I don't know. I think ever since I started home brewing at home, I realized it's something that I definitely wanted to make a career of. And there's a lot of obviously help from my wife and a lot of luck and hard work. And I still sometimes can't believe that I've been there that long and I've been doing what I've been doing for that long. It's sort of strange, but I still, there's aspects of it that are challenging, but I get to, I don't have to work in an office or I don't have to do certain things. I get to go and make beer and create things. And it's just a lot of fun. So as much as I complain about it, I still do love the job. And the creativity, interacting with interacting with guests, but also interacting and learning from other brewers. There's a couple of breweries in town that I regularly see and talk to. So we bounce ideas off each other. So that's pretty vital. And again, I'm a big fan of beers, especially traditional styles of beers. And I think over the last couple of years where, like New England IPAs and fruited this and fruited that and barrel aged this and barrel aged that have come out, I think we've managed to kind of focus on what we call beer flavored beer at Grizzly Peak, where it's, they're basically.
I'm going to interrupt you and just say, you said traditional beers. What's your definition of a traditional beer?
Something based on a traditional beer style, be it, European or English or even American for that matter. Something made with ingredients that has beer in it. I have no problem necessarily with a fruit beer as long as it's used properly. But nowadays, people, and again, I'm going to say a lot of stuff about beer and it's my own opinion. But a lot of people just want to be knocked over the head with fruit. So I make a raspberry amber ale or something, and I use what I think is a proper amount of raspberry in it. And comments I see or I hear feedback like, I don't taste the raspberry. I'm like, you fucking kidding me? Sorry. So anyway, so what I consider is sort of a traditional or beer flavored beer is one that is made from malt, barley, yeast, and water. If you want to throw a couple other ingredients there, as long as they work, and some brewers have a tendency to just start throwing crap in without thinking about it. You want to think, just like when you're making a dish, you're thinking about the end product. What do you want it to taste like? What do you want it? And then in that process, you kind of work backwards. And flying by the seat of your pants and adding some golden grams to a beer, which has happened, by the way. Or Lucky Charms or
hot dog water.
Or hot dog water. Jesus Christ, something brewed with hot dog water. I won't name the brewery.
What now? Is that real?
Yeah, that happened. They served it at a beer festival, and I wanted to just go over the table and murder them all. But
These
anyway,
opinions may or may not be endorsed by the Brother Sisters Incorporated.
exactly. Yeah.
Thank you, General Manager.
Yeah. Thank you.
That's regional manager to you.
I'm sorry,
Yeah.
Regional Manager. Thank you, Regional Manager Joe.
So
Peters.
So what I consider a beer or a traditional beer is a traditional beer, something based on a traditional beer style. You know.
Okay. Yeah, I love that because we do live in a fruit beer world right now.
Kind of. Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. Fruit
Yeah.
beer and other things. Yeah. Yeah.
And peanut butter. Where were we the other day? We were looking at a French toast stout.
Yeah. They're putting peanut butter in whiskeys and stuff now. That's
gross.
just
See,
insane.
I feel about whiskeys and bourbons the way you feel about beer. I'm like,
right.
just
I
leave
know
it
you're
F alone.
Yeah. Leave it alone. Leave it alone.
Yeah, you're not going to make it better by putting effing peanut butter in it. So
Beer flavored whiskey? What?
That's crazy.
Yeah.
that's so cray. It might work.
Mhm.
Yeah.
All right. So Duncan, was that 3 things?
I think it was.
He talked
Okay,
about
good.
creativity. He talked about collaboration with other brewers. That's important to him. And then he talked about
Traditional beer.
traditional beer styles.
Okay,
So,
good. That's 3 things. Okay, good.
Yeah.
I'm going to go to this next slide then. Fantastic. All right, boom. All right. How did you become a brewer?
Well, growing up, like my older brothers, a couple of my older brothers started to drink a lot of like Guinness and Bass and these imports. And then of course, like the craft beer thing came along. So like Sierra Nevada, Anchor Steam, and all these like the early American craft beers. And we started drinking some of those. And that really kind of influenced me quite a bit. So I was drinking a lot of mostly British beer, some American craft, some German and European stuff. And that really got me like going on beer. Because before then, all I'd really drank is Stroh's or what have you. And Stroh's was an okay beer, but it was just a mass-produced American beer. And then I think your dad, Mike, he bought me a homebrew kit for Christmas one year. And I brewed on it and I enjoyed it. And then I went out and bought a bunch of ingredients and then basically took off and I started homebrewing quite a bit at home. I also brewed, this is a shout out to the Ann Arbor Brewers Guild. It's a Ann Arbor based homebrew club. And I kind of joined that. And there were so many people there who had been homebrewing pretty much since before it was legal. Jimmy Carter, I think, is one who actually made homebrew officially legal in the United States. And
Jimmy.
What's that?
I just said, good job, Jimmy.
Yes, indeed. So, I learned a lot from all those people, and then I was working for Kinko's at the time, and I worked there for a while. It was a good job, and I expressed interest in maybe trying to get a job at a brewery. So I did some research, looking at different schools, and we settled on the Siebel Institute, and it was actually an 8-week course, but you could take it 2 weeks at a time. So I went there. I stayed with my brother's brother-in-law, Steve Collins. He let me stay up in Prospect Heights, and I drove into the city every day and went to class and came back. And then I got a job very briefly at a place called CJ's up in Commerce Township. Only worked there a day and a half while I still had my other job. And then Ron Jeffries, who now is known for Jolly Pumpkin, he was the head brewer at the time. He hired me, and I worked for him for about 3 years. And I worked part-time at a place called Bonfire up in Northville, which is owned and run by the same company. And then Ron, at the end of 2003, beginning of 2004, left to start Jolly, and I took over as head brewer, and I've been there ever since. So I can't believe they gave me the job at the time. I mean, and not to toot my own horn, but compared to what I know now after so many years and how little I knew then, they gave me the keys to the place. I'm like, are you guys serious?
Well, they do that with first year teachers all the time.
They do.
Like,
I guess
all the
standing
time.
there and you're like, what the hell am I?
Wait, so
getting myself
how
into?
old were you then when you started as head, or kind of you took the keys
I was
of Grizzly Peak?
32.
30, well,
No.
almost, yeah, you were 35.
Oh, 35. Yeah,
Almost-
I
almost
guess
gonna
I
be
was
34.
35. Yeah.
Yeah,
34,
so, okay, yeah, you didn't know
35.
anything, but you also weren't like some 19-year-old dum-dum either. So,
No, not a 19-year-old dum-dum. Sure. Yeah.
He
yeah,
was
sure, okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
he had they could be confident,
Yeah.
And yes, like you said, he's learned a ton in the
Mhm.
last 20 years,
Yeah.
but he didn't come with no knowledge.
Right.
He just
Right.
it's like
Yeah, I mean,
anything.
I read pretty much with Siebel and homebrewing. I pretty much read every beer book that I could out there even before I started working in a brewery. So, which
Nice.
helps, you know.
I would
but-
like to add several comments. One, when Duncan was looking for a brewing school, there were only 2 in the United States at the time, and the one was in Siebel Institute in Chicago, and the other one was in Davis, California. And now there's like brewing programs all over the United States, but at the time there were only 2. So that was, and it's still one of the best ways to get a job in a brewery is to start as like a brewer's assistant. So
Mhm.
that was, that's really where you get your knowledge even nowadays. And yeah, so
Yep.
that's
So-
one of my comments. He worked really hard. There was that 3 years where he was working a couple different jobs.
Yeah, I was
so that-
busy.
So he was really
Yeah,
busy so that
sure.
he could get the skills that he needed so that when he did have his opportunity to become a head brewer, he knew what he was doing. So
Duncan, speaking of that, how many brewers here in the state of Michigan have you trained?
I can't count. It's probably close to 20.
Okay.
You know, people who have been my assistants, and then, you know, most of them moving on to, you know, become head brewers or even opening their own breweries. I remember my buddy Pat, who brews at Blue Tractor down the street, really good brewer, and we were sitting one day having beers, and we started to count, and my assistant Bob was there too, and I think we got up to like 18, 19, something like that, of people that we know of that have gone on to other places.
You're like the Andy Reid of the brewing world, because I'm going to make an NFL reference here because I'm a sports nerd. Everybody talks about the Andy Reid. He's the head coach of the yet again champion Kansas City Chiefs, and everybody talks about his coaching tree, that he has this coaching tree that spans all over the NFL. He has this tree of head coaches and assistant coaches forever, and that's one of the things that people love about him, is that he's made all these great coaches. And so, Duncan, you're like the Andy Reid. You've got this amazing brewer tree that you got going on.
You know, no,
Mhm.
there's a lot of connections, and you know, and
the
again, you know,
Andy
Ron, I was
brewing
just
world.
doing for other people what Ron did for me. You know, he gave me a shot, and yeah.
Nice.
So,
I love that.
Yeah.
All right, so let's go ahead and go to this next question here. I'm going to bring this back into the stream here. All right, so we have this amazing little map here. Can you please describe the brewery system at Grizzly Peak?
Yeah, it's a pretty simple system. It's a 14 or a 7 barrel, so we can either brew 7 barrels or 14. So that's like a little over 200, a little over 400 gallons at a time, approximately.
How does that compare to other like systems? Is that big? Is it small? Is it medium?
For a brew pub, it's pretty standard. Nowadays, some brew pubs are even opening with smaller brew houses than that. And if you're having like a production facility, you know, it's something that may have a tap room, but mostly is putting their beer out the door. They're usually no smaller than 20 or 30 barrel. And again, you have some breweries that are 50, 100 barrels. So like Bell's, they're a 200 barrel in Comstock, I think, maybe even bigger than that. I think it's 200. And I think at the original place here, not too far from us, I think it's still like a 10 barrel system, but yeah, it kind of ranges. But for a brew pub, you're generally 5 to 10 barrels, no more than that. Yeah. And it's a pretty simple system. It's, it's just got a brew kettle, which is your boiling pot. It has a mash lauter tun where you mix in your crushed grain, your hot water as the false bottom of a liquid go through. You have a hot liquor back, which is basically your hot water tank. And it has a couple of other things, but it's pretty simple. Some mash tuns, some systems will have separate lauter and mash tuns. So you'll mash in the lauter and it'll get stirred, and that'll all get pumped into your mash tun to do your lauter where you extract your wort. Some of them have rakes in them, like motorized rakes, which I don't. It's almost like a large, almost sort of homebrew sort of setup. It's and nothing's automated. You're turning on pumps on and off and opening and closing valves, nothing actuated or anything like that. So, but it makes beer. So yeah, there's a picture of, that's for me. That's myself. That's Justin and Mike Bardalis right there.
I was going to say Mike Bardalis is working with a partner right now, and they're in the process of opening up Full Measure Brewing in Eastern Market in Detroit.
Yep.
Nice.
Hopefully next year, I think. Maybe.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Cool.
But
Now, a question just occurred to me when we were talking about brew programs. Are there any brewing programs in the state of Michigan?
Yeah, there's a lot. Like Ann said, when I was looking, there was maybe 2 or 3 places you could go. And then I don't know, 10 plus years ago.
Schoolcraft College has one.
A bunch of schools like universities and colleges did. So I know Western, Eastern, Schoolcraft.
I think Central.
Central, I know did. Yeah, a bunch of people just jumped into the game, and this was at the time when the brewery, the industry was on fire. You know, you're pretty much maxing out your brew systems. You're hiring lots of people. So yeah, there was a lot of schools and places in the state, you know, compared to like 5-10 years before then.
Mhm.
Now it's obviously not as much. The industry's changed a bit, and barrelage is down pretty much across the board, whether you're a micro or a brew pub or something like that. But yeah, there's I know a lot of the programs still are. Some of them might have scaled back a little bit, but you can still go to a place and, you know, get a fermentation science, distilling, brewing accreditation or an undergrad, depending
Depending on how much chemistry you take.
Yeah. I mean, nothing. I mean, the education thing is great, but nothing compares to actually, you know, working in a brewery and learning with your hands. So you can put those two together. I think it'd be a pretty good thing.
Sweet.
Yeah.
Let's drink some beer, eh?
All right. Cool.
All right. So Duncan, you brought us 3 beers today.
Yes.
Tell us what we're drinking, and tell us which one we should drink first.
All right. We're going to start on the right with the Steelhead Red. So that's the first one we're going to drink. I also brought glassware from the brewery, the actual glassware that we pour in it. So I will demonstrate generally how to pour a beer out of a can or a bottle. Generally, you want to kind of tilt it at first. You don't want to get too much foam.
So Duncan, can you do me a favor? We can't really see the glass or B.
Yeah, there we go.
There you go.
Yep, sorry.
So we're using.
And then as you get near the end, you can bring it up a little bit to get a little bit more ahead.
Now, if you want
what is this glass called?
It is a tulip glass. You might recognize it's essentially the same shape as a Guinness glass.
Okay.
Now, if you want to get a full tutorial on how to pour a beer, then you can go back and watch/listen to our podcast with Annette May, who's a Cicerone, and she taught us how to pour a beer, how to do it. You know, it was because she is a professor over at Schoolcraft College.
She teaches at Schoolcraft.
So if you need another tutorial, again,
don't listen to me, just listen to her.
Go back to our podcast with Annette May, the beer Cicerone, and she will demonstrate also how to pour a beer. And Jenny and I also practiced pouring beer as well. So we're old hands at this.
Yep.
Look at Joe Peters, beer drinking expert. That's a good looking beer.
He's poured a couple beers in his day.
With my opposite hand, even.
Oh, with
I'm ambidextrous.
Oh, he's ambidextrous. You see what he just did? Slap at it.
Wow. Nice.
Okay, so now we have the beer poured. Now what we do?
Well, you can drink it, but if you're obviously the first step is if you admire it, and we have about 4 different types of beerware at Grizzly Peak, and why I do that is the beers not necessarily taste different in each glass, but it's a presentation thing, it's an aesthetic thing. Most places just have those boring shaker pints, which I cannot stand. I mean, I understand why people get them because they're cheap, and they if you drop them on the floor, they very well may not break. But in my opinion, they essentially have no soul, I guess is it sounds very elitist to say that, but anyway, yeah. So, it's a pleasant thing to look at. It's very, very nice.
It is really, is. I don't know. The camera doesn't do it justice. This is just a sexy ass beer. It's so pretty.
She pretty.
I'm leaving you for this beer, Joe.
Right.
See, and then we got to smell it. We got to smell it.
Yeah. So ideally,
we have to smell it.
Ideally, if you've got a nice head, that releases some more aromatics so you can smell. Because actually, what your taste is like.
No, you smell it.
Your taste, if I'm not mistaken, and Annette would know this, your taste is like 80%, not 80% smell or something like that. So what you're smelling, you're also tasting. So this beer is essentially kind of an English bitter, or what's called an ESB. It's got British pale malt. There's a couple smaller amounts of crystal, 2 different types of crystal malt, which is sort of like a caramelized malt. There's a little bit of wheat and a little bit of darker malt to give it a little bit more color. This beer's got a decent amount of hop character. I actually changed the recipe recently where I brought that bitterness level up. So because it was not very hoppy initially. So I brought the bitterness level up, and I added some aromatic hops at the end of the boil as well. So it's got a little bit of this herbal, maybe marmalade-y, kind of spicy English hop note. Lots of nice malt character. And then the house yeast, we use a traditional English ale yeast, which produces a lot of kind of orchard fruit sort of character to it, maybe a little apple, peary sort of flavor.
Not the apple. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, not like green apple, but kind of rich, luscious apple. And yeah, it's an easy drinking beer. And then we put this beer also on the hand pull, where we put it in a cask and we dry hop it, and I actually call it ESB. It's essentially the same beer, only it's in a cask through a beer engine, and it's dry hopped. So
Now, when you say dry hop, what does that mean?
you're essentially adding hops either during or after fermentation. So generally in the brew house, all your hops go in the kettle. The early hops are your bittering hops, later hops are your aroma hops, flavoring aroma hops. But one thing you can do is either during fermentation, you're adding hops, or after fermentation in a bright tank or in a cask or something like that. And what that's doing, it's almost like cold steeping with coffee or tea or something like that. You're essentially adding hop aroma and flavor to a beer, essentially. So
it's really good.
yeah. It's a nice beer. It's one I didn't drink a lot, but when I changed the profile, it's a lot more balanced, and I'm pretty happy with how it turned out. So
High five yourself, Duncan Williams. You deserve it.
thanks, baby.
You're welcome.
Nicely done. Yeah. Okay. So again, the glasses. This is the Steelhead Red. And then the glass one more time. The name of the glass
is the name of the glass. Yeah. So
now, Jenny, if you go to the next slide, we could talk a little bit about when you're at Grizzly Peak.
Oh yeah.
Drinking the Steelhead Red. Of course, you can have any of their delicious food, but I think it might be good to pair it with their one of their salads, which is called Eat Your Grain Salads. And the reason why I included this is because I have a number of friends and clients. This is what they get every time they go to Grizzly Peak. I was like, ooh, this would be good with the Steelhead Red. So if you're at Grizzly Peak, because you can't buy Grizzly Peak beers at the store, you have to go to Grizzly Peak to get them, because they're they're a brew pub, not a microbrewery. So when you go there, you can get the cans and buy them there, or you can stay, have a beer or three, and eat your grain. So you can be like, yeah, I got all my vegetables and grains today. So there you go.
And again, I'm going to throw a little something out for Grizzly Peak. They really do have great food there. It's really good. And honestly, if you're downtown Ann Arbor, there really is no reason to go anyplace else. I'm not even kidding.
Yeah, you can sit inside, you can sit outside.
It's nice. It's a nice space. They have different places to sit. They have a bar area. They got the restaurant area. They got the old German down in the basement. It's just nice, man. It's nice.
Customer service is top shelf.
Top shelf. So yeah. Anyway, I love the fact that we're doing a pairing. That was a great idea, Ann Brothers. Well done.
Well, yeah, I thought, hey, why not? I like to eat. Duncan likes to drink. It's like peanut butter and chocolate.
It's like you were made for each other.
Totally,
right?
Totally. All right, tell us about this next beer that we gonna be drinking.
This is the Edelhopfen German Pils.
Here, so you can.
Oh yeah, sorry. Let me do this. Here, can you move the microphone?
Yeah, and what glass are we using this time?
This is the Pils glass, the tall, skinny one.
Look at this thing. That's nice. That's right, you guys. Duncan brought his own glasses for this show, and then he washed them and got them all pretty and shiny and perfect and rinsed, so that. All right. Joe Peters, beer pouring expert, is now pouring the Pilsner. All right. So, what makes a Pilsner different from a red? I think you got oversells in that head.
I did.
He got soaked. He got
big on that.
Pay no attention to the beer behind the curtain.
Big head, big head, big head.
So a Pilsner is technically a lager. So you have two sort of different families of beers, and it depends on generally what kind of yeast is used. So ale yeast, which the Steelhead Red is an ale. Evolutionary, it's older. Ale yeast generally don't like to ferment too cold. They'll ferment better around room temperature. Because of that temperature, and depending on the strain, there's a bunch of different strains of ale yeast. They tend to create or throw off a bunch of flavor byproducts known as esters. So also that orchard fruit or whatever you were getting in the Steelhead Red, we're not adding orchard fruit to the beer. That's literally compounds created by the yeast during fermentation. It's one of the byproducts. In fermentation, essentially what's happening is the yeast is consuming the sugar it's excreting ethanol, and it's also producing CO2, very much like how we do, only we don't create alcohol. Then it creates a whole bunch of different flavor compounds, one of which in a ale is generally some sort of an ester fruit to it, fruity compound to it. And again, there are different strains of ale yeast that produce more or less esters. There are Belgian yeasts that produce real spicy, phenolic sort of character. And the lagers, on the other hand, and those are a recent invention to like 150, 175 years or so. They will ferment at room temperature. They'll produce more ale-like quality, but if you can get them to ferment like in the low 50s, the fermentation will be slower and more deliberate, and they won't throw off nearly as much. They won't create nearly as many of those ester compounds. In addition, because they're used to working at colder temperatures, after fermentation done and you crash the beer, that is, you chill it, that yeast won't immediately go dormant like an ale yeast, and it'll sort of continue to seek out and condition and clean up the beer. The word lager literally means to store in German. And so what they found is that a yeast would, the general theory is that an ale yeast had mutated to work at colder temperatures. And so
An ale yeast or a lager?
Ale yeast had sort of mutated into a lager yeast. I beg your pardon. Thank you. And
so, okay, what's the oldest beer?
The oldest beer?
Egyptians.
Yeah, the Egyptians, the Mesopotamians. I think those are the sort of the original ones. And again, people didn't understand until like Pasteur. People didn't understand yeast. It's crazy. And again, beer brewing evolved like any other trade, cheese making, wine making, whatever. It was a total trial and error thing, and they didn't understand so much about it.
It was like chocolate, Jenny.
Right. Yeah.
Saw somebody eating it. Something was eating it, and so we're like, okay, we'll try it.
Yeah,
we'll try that out.
Yeah. Anyway, so
smart.
Yeah. So
science, all science is based on observation. That's all I know.
Exactly. It's trial and error and doing things over and over and over again. So the lagers, you ferment them colder, you let them age cold for a while, and again, they'll just be these nice, crisp, clean beers. And it's no wonder in the history of this country, you had these sort of Anglo-Irish, Scottish brewers start brewing, and then you had this wave of immigrants of German, Czech, Polish, Eastern European brewers, and they brought their lager tradition brewing with them. 10 years later, everyone was brewing lager because people had this lager. It was crisp and clean and just incredibly drinkable. And so those essentially, you have your two different styles of beer. Now, a Pilsner is a lager.
Drink beer.
Oh, I will. Thank you. Yeah, thanks. To remind me.
It's so good. This beer
reminded me that I drink a beer.
I just want to comment on this. It's, I've just had two beers that are just so pure and clean and delicious. And it's like, you don't need to add anything to this. That's what drives me nuts about what's happening with beer. I'm like, if the beer is good, I mean, really good, you don't have to throw anything into it to make it peanut buttery or French toasty or waffly or.
I don't need a mango asparagus saison.
You don't need that. Nobody needs that.
So if while you're enjoying your German style crisp, clean, and distinct herbal note hop character with generous bitterness, you might want to try this with Grizzly Peak's warm, soft pretzels, and they come with
that sounds so good right now.
That sounds nice.
We'll
be right back.
We're all really hungry right now.
I think so too.
I'm totally hungry. I'm like, warm soft pretzels.
I would kill a Pilsner and some soft pretzels right now.
I would murder.
I was murder. I could murder a Pilsner and soft pretzels. Soft, hot pretzels.
Yeah.
Oh, not a euphemism.
Yeah.
You're a soft hot pretzel.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Dip you soft hot pretzel.
So Pilsners are they're just golden lagers. The original Pilsners actually came from the Czech Republic, and that's supposedly where they were first brewed, which is true. And then the Germans and these other European countries started making them, but they're very pale lagers. They use noble hops, and these are hops grown in either generally Germany or the Czech Republic, and they have a lot of like spicy, subtle, earthy, woody sort of character.
Well, I like this one because
Okay.
the hops don't overpower. That's the thing that drives me nuts about a lot of places where a lot of beers that you drink, you just get just smacked in the mouth with hops. And I don't particularly love hops, so I really do prefer something that's maltier.
It depends on the type of hops you're drinking. A lot of the hops they're using nowadays are very in your face. And these noble hops and even the English hops that are in the red are much more settled and nuanced. That's a whole thing right there. Yeah.
It's a much more pleasant experience, I believe.
Right.
So, yeah. All right, so let's talk about this third beer that you brought with you.
It is the Bauernader Doppelbock. A Bock beer is generally a German. You want to move that out of the way so I can get a pour here.
And what glass are we using this time, Duncan?
We're using the last one, the tankard glass. There you go. Hopefully, there's not a fourth glass there, but
there is not. But I just wanted you to say the name.
Joe considers his mouth.
I just got you to say the name of the glass, so I didn't have to. So
tankard. It's a tankard.
Tankard.
It's a tankard.
Which implies a lot of beer, like a tanker truck,
A tankard.
Sorry.
Beer expert Joe Peters is pouring the beer.
Right.
And if you guys can't hear her, we have been we're getting roughed up by Marla the cat right now. She's in here.
You're
with
in
us.
that room, and she's not.
She is. She's like, this is weird. What's happening? I'm deciding if she needs to get to her box or not. I think she's gonna.
She just wants love.
She just wants somebody to tell her that she's who's a beautiful, sweet princess kitten. You are Marla Larla.
It's a pretty beer.
Sorry, you guys got me talking to my cat. All right, sorry. Anyway, Duncan, enough Marla talk. Now it's back to you.
Oh, it's all right. So Bock beer is a generally a strong, darkish German lager.
It's very strong.
And they're generally brewed earlier in the year, and they're allowed to lager, sit cold for a long time. They tend to have a mixture of Pilsner and some Munich malt, which is this toasty, more roasted, not roasted, but toasted, kilned Munich malt. Doppelbocks you'd think are double the strength. They're really not, but Doppelbocks are a stronger version of Bock. They tend to be darker as well. And they have a lot of really interesting malt character. Again, that toasty, what's known as a melanoidin flavor, which the Maillard reaction is the way when you put toast in the toaster, it toasts up and it gives you that nice toasty character. That's a Maillard reaction. And that's essentially what can happen during the kilning process for the grain and even during the boiling process during the brew. So you get this really nice, rich, malty sort of character in the beer. It's not very hoppy at all. There shouldn't be any hop, but it is a lager. So it's like the pills. It's cold fermented and cold aged. So yeah, I mean, I don't drink a lot of these beers, so I almost don't consider them beer because they're just so rich and strong. And this thing's like 8% alcohol too. So
yeah, it's really different in terms of its flavor profile. It's very different than the first two beers that we just had. Delicious.
Right.
Don't get me wrong.
Right.
But there's almost no hop characteristic at all to it.
No,
Yeah.
Yeah,
it's
exactly.
really it is you can really taste that yummy toasty maltiness of it, and I do like that. I do like
in your darker lagers like your Doppelbocks and your Munich Dunkels, they have so much of that Munich malt, dark like melanoidin sort of character in them. It almost, even though it's a clean beer and it's not fruity, you almost get this like dark fruit sort of character from the malt.
It almost tastes kind of sweet. Yeah,
exactly. So it's
but not
pretty,
gross.
But not gross. Yeah.
Yeah, it's
exactly.
not cloying.
Yeah.
So. And okay, so I'm just gonna put this out there that Duncan, you continuously, every time I drink your beer, I'm happy because it really is. There's, I watch a lot of Top Chef and Chopped and all these, and really they all talk about technique and simplicity, and really showcasing whatever it is they're making. And I think that's something that you as a brewer do really well, is that you're so good at just showcasing the beauty of these beers themselves. And I think that's awesome.
I try to certainly. Yeah.
So yeah. And I'm going to throw this out there. One of the things that I think the reason that you do that really well is I truly believe you to be a beer historian. And I think that's one of the reasons that you're able to do what you do and do it so well, is that you truly know and understand the history of the beers that you're making and understand those profiles And I think that's one of the strengths that you have as a brewer. And not that my opinion matters, but that's just what I think.
No, I'd like to think I do. I think I do. And you know, I was casting a lot of shade on like the New England IPAs and the fruited beers, and I don't begrudge brewers making those at all because they sell. You know, you're in you need to make money in this industry, and you need to make things that people want to drink. And so I don't begrudge people making seltzer. I don't begrudge people making, you know, fruited this and all that stuff. I do. I make a New England IPA a couple times a year because I know it sells well. So I don't begrudge people for making a living. At the same time, I mean, there's so many really good traditional beers out there that people can brew and people can appreciate. That you know, and lager's sort of on the rise. I think people are starting to get more into different styles of lagers, and I think that's good. So
awesome.
So if you're at the Grizzly Peak and you want to, you know, drink some Doppelbock and you want to enjoy some fine cuisine, may I suggest the Grizzly Peak's buttermilk fried chicken? It's actually in a sandwich, but it's one of those big sandwiches you need a fork and knife for. Their fried chicken is really good.
Open face sandwich.
Yeah.
I love open face sandwiches.
It's so delicious. So
It sounds
I think-
amazing.
yeah. So rich beer, some rich, delicious fried chicken.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Mm,
Yeah. That
Makes me want to eat it, drink it, take a nap.
exactly. And then you can have some delicious chocolate cake afterwards, because they have one of their desserts is chocolate cake from Avalon Bakery, and it's super rich. You're like, I can't move. This is not necessarily a Valentine's Day meal unless you like get some first and then go to dinner. But if you're like gonna go to dinner and then think you're gonna get some, you are not.
Yeah, you need to fuck first and then eat.
All right, we just went to
and the thing is,
NC-17.
if you're doing that, it means you are a professional. It means you are good at what
Exactly. You
you
know what you're
do.
doing.
That's an
Yeah.
amateur. Amateur Valentine's is to like go do your stuff and expect some love and afterwards. That's an amateur
Yeah.
move. No, I'm
Yeah.
like, nope. Get started early, get that stuff done, and then go just eat it and drink it, yo.
Yep.
Am
Celebrate
I wrong,
your
Joe
love.
Peters? Joe Peters knows. He knows.
He knows.
That's hilarious.
It is
All right, so Duncan, God, this is good. It's already been nearly an hour, so I don't even know how that happened because I want more of the Joe Peters. May I please have more of the red one? Marla says the red one. What about the yellow one? Yes, Marla the cat is giving us all kinds of hell right now. I think it's also going on 4:00, so she's about an hour from dinner, and she's like, "If you bitches are in here, why aren't you feeding me?" So yeah.
What's wrong with you? Can't you see I'm dying of starvation?
So, what's the matter, princess? Yeah, I wish you guys. So, if I'm distracted right now, it's only because I have a cat behind me who just literally is like, "I want all of your attention." I know, sweet kitten. I know, baby kitten. It's okay. All right. So, if you want to find the Grizzly Peak, it is at 120 West Washington Street in Ann Arbor. You can find them at grizzlypeak.net. The Grizzly Peak Brewing Company can be found on the Facebook, the Instagram, and the YouTube. Duncan, how often do we find you personally? Now, for a while, we were getting some reels of you on Facebook. What happened to that?
I said we have a social media team that I send videos to. So it still happens. Maybe it doesn't happen quite. I usually don't do a video until I have a new beer, unless I'm inspired to do a video about something else. The thing at the bottom, the YouTube with my name and those numbers, I started a YouTube. I'm not always. I'd like to be there for pre-shift, for lunch and dinner, and talk to the servers about the beer. But you know, sometimes I'm out of there by 4:30, and they haven't even done a dinner pre-shift yet. So I decided to start the YouTube page where I would talk about beer and other aspects of it. And then what I ended up doing is just also sending those to our social media people, so they'll occasionally post videos, excuse me, on that stuff. So that's essentially, it was originally meant for sort of in-house content for servers, but I'd say, well, I mean, people can watch these as well. So, and it's usually when I put a new beer on, is usually what it is. So, yeah, it's fairly informative, I'd say.
That's cool. I have something very important to talk to you about, Duncan. I've been
I'm
waiting to
drinking
ambush.
beer. How do you expect me not to burp?
It's okay. You can belch. It's this is a gas. We support your gas here on the Brother Sister Smart Dumb Fun. Duncan, I'm going to do some gotcha journalism real quick.
Please
Because
do.
this is important to me. As you know, the sequel to Twister is coming out this year.
Oh, geez.
And for the 186th time,
I know where you're
I'm going to
Okay.
ask you for my own beer.
Total Brewage.
And I need it to be Imminent Brewage.
Imminent Brewage.
Jenny's
Yes. Sorry.
Brothers is
I didn't even get it
Imminent
right.
Brewage.
Imminent Brewage.
And you need to do this to honor me and honor the sequel to Twister and honor Bill Paxton.
Yeah. I would do it for Bill for
Eminent Brewage.
sure.
Imminent Brewage.
Yeah. All right.
Damn it, Duncan. I want it. I'm sorry, you guys.
I
Okay,
just-
so
I
for those of
just
you that don't know the
tried-
history, as you know, Ann is obsessed with the movie Twister, as am I. And one of the characters in it, Dusty, who's the best character in the entire movie,
Philip
he's
Seymour
talking
Hoffman,
about
rest in
how
peace.
the bad, yes, Philip Seymour Hoffman's character, how he's talking about that the character, the bad guy is going to rue the day that he ever came up against the extreme, which is Bill Paxton's character. And then he's like, Imminent Brewage. And so I've always wanted a beer called Imminent Brewage. And
Well,
I want
we'll have-
Duncan to make it. And I want him to make it for me.
Okay,
Make it
well,
now!
we'll have to make it a collab, and we'll have to talk about it and see what kind of beer you want.
I was going to say, because then Jenny and I can review the new Twister movie while we drink Eminent Brewage.
Yeah, I don't know if I'll
I
get
already
it.
tell you what I
When
want.
is
I
that
want
movie
cream
coming
ale.
out?
I want it to be called Imminent
Why?
Brewage. And I want it to
Okay,
be
we
this
might be
summer.
able to make that work. Yeah.
Cream ale, cream ale,
Cream ale. Okay.
cream
yeah,
ale.
sure, I could do that. Yeah.
Okay, thanks, dude. I want that very
Potentially.
much.
We'll talk about it. We'll see.
Okay, we will. We can talk. If
Yeah.
that's not your jam, then we will find something that is your jam. But I just have always wanted that. And then I want a T-shirt that says Jenny Brothers is Imminent Brewage by Duncan Williams.
Yeah.
Duncan Williams.
Yeah.
I don't think that's asking too much. I think it's nice. I think you'll dig it. All right. All right. First off, let me just say, well, for starters, Duncan, just can't thank you enough for coming on and talking to us about beer and bringing the beer. You're going to get your own tote bag, and you're going to get that today.
Sweet.
And the glasses.
And the glasses and some stickers. So, because that's what we have to give away.
I've run out of Pilsner. I have to drink right now.
Okay, gotcha. I'm sorry. So,
Mm.
so thank you, Duncan Williams, for coming on. All guests that come on the Brother Sister Smart Dumb Fun receive a free tote bag and some stickers. I know, because tote bags fit everyone. You never know when you're going to need to tote something.
Exactly. In fact, when I was just at Detroit History Club, they were selling T-shirts that they couldn't sell. Guess what size they all were, Jenny?
Tote bag size?
Extra small.
Extra small. They're like $5 T-shirts. Oh, look, they're extra small, so we can put them on and be really sexy babies.
Fat girl in a tiny T-shirt, right on.
Exactly. I was like,
Which is excellent comedy. Let me just say that right now.
It is excellent
my
comedy,
back fat.
but-
That's right. All right, good.
why would you buy small T-shirts and sell them in Michigan?
Because my friend Sam's like,
I don't know.
"We're
It's
big out here, right
it's
on."
tricky. You know, you I don't know. You know, we do merch.
Hey, look,
at our
Ann,
place.
there are babies all over the state of Michigan
are
who can wear that
babies.
T-shirt. Okay,
Toddlers can wear these T-shirts.
Yeah.
toddlers can wear these T-shirts. That's awesome. All right, so just bringing it back on. One more thing, you guys. I wanted to talk a little bit about the mug that my husband had made for me. Real quick, that we talked about that at the beginning of the show. This awesome mug was made by Stone the Crow Ceramics. You can find them on Facebook or Instagram. You can find their store at Stone the Crow Ceramics at Etsy.com. And she's got some cool stuff. What I love about her description in Facebook, she talks about that she makes things that are witchy, and I'm like, that's amazing.
Very good.
So if you're looking for something tailored to the ones you love, then I would highly recommend Stone the Crow Ceramics on Etsy.com. And I think we should have her on the show, Ann.
Oh, I would love that. I would also like to add something, Jenny Brothers.
Yes, add it.
Early voting in Michigan started on Saturday. We have a 9-day voting window where you can go in and vote. I know I have my sticker. You can go in and vote in person, or you can, if you got your ballot absentee, you can also drop them off or put them in the mail. So vote. It is open. You have 9 days. 9 days, people. That's a long time. So yes. So as Taylor Swift said, vote.
You should drink a
And
beer,
Taylor-
Jeannie.
Yes, you should absolutely drink a beer, no matter what it is, even if it's, I don't know, what's beer that sucks? Mick Ultra. Don't drink that.
I don't know.
Honestly, just drink
Jeannie
nothing.
usually gets pretty good beer.
Mhm.
So
Jeannie's got good taste. Jeannie's the woman.
Mhm,
Hey,
she
speaking of Jeannie Caselli,
Mhm.
sneak peek into next week. There she is, Jeannie Caselli. She's our friend, and she is our true crime podcast expert. Every now and then, you guys, we bring people on who we think are experts at things, and Jeannie has talked to us about murder podcasts, and so we
Mhm.
have dubbed her the expert, and we shall bring her on and talk to her
Mhm.
because that's fun. So,
Yes.
yes,
She'll tell us what to listen to and why.
and why. So what am I listening to right now? I'm not really listening. I'm listening to my book. That's what I have about a 12-minute drive to work, which is kind of nice. And I listen to right now. I'm listening to Feast for Crows, which is the 4th Game of Thrones book, because I'm a nerd. And I think you're reading that book right now too,
Me
aren't
too.
you?
She's listening. Yeah.
I have 1 hour left. 1 hour left of it, and
Oh,
then
that's like, and the cool thing about these books is like you'll go on, you'll get some books and they're like, this book is 7 hours long. This book is like 47 hours long.
I'm like,
The guy reads it. I've heard her. She's listening on her speaker. Right? The guy's amazing. The guy who reads it. Yeah.
it's
Yeah,
like,
he is good.
yeah. My fiction. I like big, thick, big fiction. These 250 page books, which is most fiction, like 250 to 300. I like, give me a Stephen King or a Michener by the pound. I want some big,
Like
thick
a 2,000-page book.
Yes, please, I would.
Yes, please, and thank you. All right, one more thing before we go. Again, you can support the Brothers Sisters for free.
That's right.
You don't have to drop a dime on us. All you have to do is like us on Facebook. You can follow us on the Spotify. You can get to us on Instagram. You can subscribe to us on the YouTube. And like I said, we might be switching formats up here because Facebook is screwing with us. So we are probably going to be moving more to our YouTube and other podcasting formats. So if you want to catch us live, you're probably going to have to do it on YouTube. That's okay. You can subscribe. You can find us live. We're easy to find. We'll post our stuff. But like I said, Facebook has become meta, and meta is like an absolute universe of poo. So anyway,
just my
said that out
opinion,
loud.
but poop. Just our opinion,
Sounds like-
but poop.
It's my next bad name. Universe of Poo.
universe of poo.
Ladies
Sorry,
and
they
gentlemen, Universe
really,
of Poo.
I literally was so like we're having trouble connecting our page to our StreamYard stuff, and that just happened. And I literally spent like 2.5 hours this morning trying to fix it, and it nerd rage. So anyway, but that's neither here nor there. But well, like I said, you can still find us where we are for now. But in the meantime, we're gonna sign off. We're up here over an hour. So Duncan Williams, thank you again for joining us. Joe Peters, thank you for joining us as our beer drinking expert. Any thoughts, Joe, before you go?
And regional manager.
Regional manager, Joe Peters. Thoughts?
Duncan is a wizard with
Beer
beer.
wizard.
You need to find your way to Ann Arbor and enjoy the craft, the fruits of his labor,
Yeah.
the fruits of his loins.
No.
Wait, what now?
Joe.
No.
Wait, that just got weird.
We're talking about food stuff too.
Joe. He's drank too much of that Doppelbock. Cut him off. Cut him off, Jenny.
what you're talking about.
Shut up, you baloney.
I haven't seen anything that's in Strang Willie.
Oh God, we were just talking about that yesterday. Joe was talking about when he was young and unwise, and he helped you with a beer festival, and like basically drank himself stupid. So
Yeah, he sure did.
I'm like, Duncan, make sure he doesn't go into the river. Just roll him
Yeah,
under the
yeah.
table.
Like Johnny and her, like, where's Joe?
Oh God, he's
in the river. All right, hey, look, I'm gonna turn on our exit music.
Okay.
All right.
But here it comes.
Oh, here it comes.
It's the dance pop one. I gotta turn it up a little bit. Here it comes. That's badass. That's right.
I'm just gonna like.
Would you
do
drop
this.
the beat for me, please?
I can't drop the beat. Only
It
There it
drops
is.
the beat.
boom. Hey, you guys, you've been listening and watching to the Brothers Sisters Smart Dumb Fun. This is Jenny Brothers signing off, and with me as always,
And brothers, also signing off.
signing off. Thanks for watching, you guys, and we will see you very soon. All I have to say is peace and out.
And vote.